Hello and welcome back to another episode of Morgan's Pop Talks, breaking down the latest in reality TV and pop culture. How's it going? How you doing? I'm feeling good today. Can you believe I didn't even have a nap? So you might get I was going to say chronic morgue, and that's how you know I didn't take a nap because I don't even know what that means. Chronic morgue? You might get slap happy morgue. We'll go with that. The word isn't coming to me, but I just feel like I'm in a new era today. I'm on one today. I just got back from the nail salon. I got this Pepto-Bismol pink. It's Pepto chic. And I'm not usually a pink girly, but I'm heading out of town this weekend, going on a road trip to Columbus, Ohio. So if you're in the C-Bus area, let a girl know what restaurants we should eat at. I'm going to my friend's wedding. Anytime that I am going to a wedding and David is here to actually go with me, have you ever heard of your rich life? Your rich life is what you imagine your life to be if you're like super rich, but it's not like rich with money, Like my rich life is being able to go to every single wedding that I'm invited to and have David be my date. That is my rich life. And we're getting close. We're getting close. You know what else is tripping me out? Because I told you guys last week, our first little paperwork thingy-majig got approved for his visa. So, our actual wedding, the big shebang, is going to be next June. But in 4 to 6 months, I will be married. That's weird when you're planning a wedding for a year from now, but you think actually legally in 4 to 6 months, I'm going to be somebody's wife. That is wackadoodle time. I also am really having already identity issues. After 30 years, I'm just supposed to give up my last name, act like it meant nothing to me. We were having this conversation a couple days ago before we were going to sleep. I was like half asleep, half awake. And I'm like, you mean I have to give up my last name in 4 to 6 months? I'm already tripping about it. Already tripping. And that was a 2-minute and 25-second rant that's not on my notes. Has nothing to do with anything that we're going to talk about today. Told ya. Chronic. She's chronic. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, special announcement before we get into it. Papa Batch is back this week. I know we took a little bit of a break because Vanderpump Rules, but we have Bachelor in Paradise updates. We have charity season updates. We have Matt and Rachel updates. Yay. We took a healthy break from The Bachelor, but Papa Batch is back and I'm super excited. So that's coming out on Friday. Make sure you're subscribed. The link is in the show notes below, but let's get into this week's Pop 3. These are the biggest headlines from the week. Let's start with Tom Schwartz and this monologue that he gave on Stars on Mars, which it's like if Tom Schwartz is going to go on another reality show, it's going to be Stars on Mars, just fits the brand. So he admits that he felt complicit in Scandoval. So he was doing this sit down interview or whatever. And I'm just going to read a couple of the quotes that he said. So Schwartz said, my friend had an affair that just so happened to sweep the nation, and it's incredibly messed up. But the thing is, I've become mired in it. It's become a huge source of just angst in my life. I've been in this extended funk. He also said he had a torrid affair. It's horrible. And I feel complicit because I didn't cover for him, but I had his back. He came to me and confided in me that he was in love with someone else. He then went on to say that he was stepping away from it permanently, which we'll get into that in a second. But he also said any sort of version of Sandoval's side of the story has become obsolete because of the way he handled it. And ultimately, that's his life. I did not have an affair. I am not him. And it's just so strange that I've been absolutely mired in this, like I said. Schwartz also went on Jackson Brittany's podcast saying that he hasn't seen Sandoval in a while, probably because Sandoval is touring with his cover band. Here's what drove me crazy with Tom Schwartz this week. We all saw the clickbait headline. Tom Schwartz is stepping away from his friendship with Tom Sandoval permanently. That's not what he said on Stars on Mars, which is just so fitting for Schwartz to be on Stars on Mars right now talking about Scandoval. But anyways, so the headline that we all saw was that he was talking about Tom Sandoval, but I interpreted it as he was stepping away from Scandoval. You know what I mean? I interpreted it as I'm stepping away from this drama. I'm not going to defend him anymore. I'm not going to give my opinion on it anymore. He never said, I am stepping away from Tom Sandoval permanently. He said stepping away from it permanently. So what's it? Is it the drama? Is it Tom Sandoval? We don't know. I mean, we know that he hasn't seen him in a while because he's been performing 500 miles on tour. But my toxic trait is like, I can't be mad at Tom Schwartz. I know. Throw me to the wolves. What can you do? I can't bring myself to be mad at him. I'll be mad at him for like a minute and then he wins me back. That's my toxic trait. At least I admitted it. I guess it depends on how much you believe Schwartz. You know, like, did he think the thing in August was just a one-time mistake, or did he know that it was continuing, you know, throughout all the way until January? Did he really tell Sandoval to come clean in January? I don't know. But in this world full of liars and cheaters, I want to believe Tom Schwartz. I want to believe him. So I just am. I'm like, we have other people to be mad at, like Tom Sandoval, Raquel. I'm just going to focus my energy on those two and not Tom Schwartz. I also read somewhere, I think it was on Jackson Brittany's podcast, that Schwartz had a tough year last year. You know, his brother was diagnosed with cancer. His dad was having health troubles, struggling to open the bar. He was getting divorced. I think it's possible that he had more on his mind than what Tom Sandoval was doing, especially because Tom Sandoval was gallivanting around the United States, you know, playing shows for $5. Like, if I was Schwartz, I'd be like, I don't know what the heck he's doing. He's off in La La Land performing for people. I have no idea. If I was Schwartz and Sandoval was my business partner, I would also be ignoring him as much as possible. So I can't say that I blame him. Okay, let's move on to headline number 2. Is Bethenny Frankel going to be on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip? So the ladies are back in St. Bart's as we speak. We know the cast consisted of Ramona, Sonia, Kelly, Kristen, Dorinda, and Luann. Ramona posted a video, an Instagram story of them on this tiny little private plane, and fans are freaking out because they thought they heard Bethenny Frankel's voice in the background. And then, you know, Ramona's like, you know, she's taking an Instagram selfie, whatever. And people are like, okay, that's either Luann or it's Bethenny in the background. Okay. Bethenny has been very vocal about the fact that she's like never in a million years going to return to the Real Housewives of New York because she's too busy doing makeup reviews on TikTok. But like, look, it's Bethenny. I'm like, if they pay her enough money, she's doing it. She's doing it. And like, Bethenny is posting on social media, but is it in real time? Is it her assistant? Is it Brynn? The world may never know. Look, if Bethenny came to this Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, you know, RHONJ Legacy Edition, it would be big. It would be big. If you're going to get the girls back together, you got to get the girls back together. I want it to happen. I know some people aren't a big fan of Bethenny. I have an admiration for people in life that will be unapologetic in their opinions. I feel this way about Bethenny. I feel this way about Lala, where it's like sometimes you just want to be like, oh, shut up. But also I can appreciate the fact that they will state their opinion and they won't take it back for anybody. So I think, you know, someone on this Ultimate Girls Trip will make a guest appearance. Is it going to be Jill? Is it going to be Bethenny? Is it going to be Pirate Tomas? The world may never know, but I'm really hoping that it is Bethenny because I feel like that would be a major bombshell and I would be here for it. Okay, last in this week's Pop 3, and this is a bit more of a serious story. So Amanza Smith from Selling Sunset was hospitalized with a blood infection this week. So she opened up about this on her Instagram, saying that, you know, she was having excruciating back pain. So she posted on Instagram a series of clips and pictures, you know, showing her medical ordeal throughout the past couple days and weeks. So the caption said, over a month ago, and all of this started, I thought I had a bulging disc or a slip disc or something wrong with my lower back that was regular. She said, come to find out, I had an infection in my blood that had caused a great deal of infection to be spread to the bones of my spine. and it's a long medical term. And y'all know I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to say this word. Should I try? Should I make myself look like an idiot? Osteomyelitis. You get it. Okay. So she also shared that she was going into surgery a couple days ago to have portions of the infection removed from her spine that weren't getting any better by the antibiotics that she was getting. So she said of her remaining course of antibiotics in the caption, I'll take care of the rest of the infection in my spine and I'll be back to 100%. Thank you to everyone at Cedars-Sinai for taking such good care of me. This too shall pass. So keep Amanza in your T's and P's. Hopefully she gets better. It seems like she's on the mend from what she's posting on social media. So just send her good vibes. Okay. Let's move on to the deep dive. Opposite of good vibes, tragic vibes, toxic vibes, Jersey vibes. Let me tell you, I didn't open up the deep dive submission this week because, I open it on Tuesdays and I knew nothing was going to compete with Tuesday night, The Real Housewives of New Jersey, part 3 of the reunion. So I just took matters into my own hands. Okay. And I was like, we are going to recap this mess. It's always been a mess. It's been a mess for 10 years, but I feel like there's this extra mess that has been added, and he goes by the name of Louis Ruella. So let's start just from the beginning of the episode. They start off with No-No's pajamas. I'm glad they started with this. And it was very briefly discussed, but Louis is like, no, I only wore the pajamas one time. It's still weird. It's still weird that you are bragging to Joe Gorga about wearing his dead father's pajamas to make Joe's nieces feel safe. I said it then, I'll say it now. If I was one of Teresa's daughters and I knew this guy for a year and he's marrying my mother and he started walking around in my No-No's pajamas, safe is probably the opposite feeling that I would be harboring, I'd probably be a little bit weirded out. And it's sad when the No-No's pajamas of it all is the least problematic thing that happened on part 3 of the reunion. But it's more of the same with the drama that goes on between Melissa and Joe and Teresa and now Louis. We're still talking about Melissa getting on the show 10 years later. We're still talking about this stuff. And it's had I not known that that's what they have been fighting about for the past 10 years, I wouldn't have known because you could not hear each other or you couldn't hear anything over the whole time. Look, I know Andy has been getting a lot of flack because people think that he shouldn't yell at the women of the cast. You get the respect that you show other people. And I'm in that setting, I get tensions running high, but they were showing no respect to Andy. And sometimes you got to crack the whip. And I'm here for Father Andy, just giving a listen, ladies, get it together. Okay. Some of the minor subplots that we liked here. I love seeing Frank Sr. and Polly getting along. I love Frank Sr. I can't help it. I see people online being like, why is Frank still on the show? He's not with Dolores anymore. Look. I think what separates the Real Housewives of New Jersey from some of the other franchises is the husband's involvement in the show. There's not this level of house husband involvement, from any other franchise. You get it a little bit with Beverly Hills with Mauricio and PK, but nothing comes close to the Jersey men. And I feel like they elevate the show. And I feel like Frank Sr. and Dolores, their relationship is so unique and it brings about a new dynamic that I want him to stay right where he is, and Frankie Jr., obviously. Let's get into the Frankie Jr. of it all because there's this huge issue that's going on between Louis and Frank Sr. and Frank Jr. and Dolores. Dolores says, Frankie's no longer working with Louis. Frankie got another job and that's it. And everybody else is deer in headlights. Are you going to say it? Am I going to say it? Or are we just going to go with Dolores' story? And Louis, he's just so pompous. He's like, why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us, Frank? Puffing up his chest. It's dude, this is just a warm up. He's like, oh yeah, is Frankie Jr., not working with me anymore? You sure about that? Your day, let's play. Your day will come. It's like, dude, we're talking about Frankie Jr. and what happened with his job. It's not that serious. Dolores, I think so badly. She doesn't want to upset Teresa. She has like this blind loyalty to her. And I think maybe Dolores knew that things were about to like really hit the wall. So she didn't want this to hit the wall. She's just trying to like reel it in a little bit. But she frames it as, I don't want anything out there about little Frankie. When I don't think it's so much as that, as I think she's maybe protecting Teresa, honestly. And, you know, you have these long, awkward silences. They're covering up something, but you don't know what it is. And I'm glad in the very next scene we get John Fuda, who's the opposite of what Dolores is doing, of what Frank Sr. is doing, even Joe Gorga at this point. You have John Fuda that like, he's like, Andy, I'm gonna let you finish, Andy. But why did you have me investigated, Louis? An eye for an eye. Guns blazing from the new kid on the block. He's like, I see right through both of yous. I know I have a terrible, terrible New Jersey accent. I had to practice that. I'm sorry if I have offended some of you from New Jersey. I mean, well. And it's like, Louis said it twice that, you know, I hired Bo Dietl. You know, Bo Dietl. Like, stop bringing up Bo Dietl. You can't say it twice and then take it back. He's a proven liar. It just depends on what lie you believe. Did he lie about hiring Bo Dietl, or is he lying about not hiring Bo Dietl? Pick your lie, you know? And then he's like, well, Bo Dietl just sent the security up. It's like, dude, come on. You know you're in contact with this dude. And even Andy said on his radio show, it's like, he said this yesterday. And it was like, it comes down to semantics, where Louis didn't like officially hire Bo Dietl, but Bo Dietl did stuff on behalf of Louis, right? So once again, you know, Margaret is kind of the scapegoat for all of it. They're like, you're putting this stuff out about Louis. And it's like, do you not see that it's literally Louis's exes that are coming forward and saying stuff? I mean, even the most recent one of Louis's exes said that Louis hired a private investigator to pose as a client of hers because she's a therapist, okay? So a private investigator walked into this woman's business. She's thinking, I'm giving somebody a therapy session. It's really a private investigator trying to get information on her. That is like next level wackadoodle. It is wackadoodle time. So then we get into Pizzagate, and I'm still confused about it because I don't understand business, which is probably why I'm obsessed with reality TV, you know? That was mean. I need to be nicer to myself. I can understand business and love reality TV at the same time. I didn't mean it like that. I can't understand like what the $110,000 check and the contracts and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't understand. And they're screaming over each other whole entire time anyway, so I wouldn't understand even if I could hear them. But what I think happened is that Louis says he lost money and Joe says that Louis stole the idea. Like, is that what it comes down to? You know? And then all of a sudden it just goes from that to Joe Gorga saying, I think you're a woman abuser, which is like a strong accusation, a very strong accusation. I think a lot of people probably believe it just based on the stuff that's come out from his exes, you know, but then Joe says, you say something nice and then you say your day is coming, which is totally true. He's so manipulative, Louis is. And we see it later on full display with John Fuda. And I feel like he's the only one that doesn't fall into the trap. Even Rachel kind of falls into it. We'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So then we get into the Jacqueline, the Rita of it all, which you guys know. Everyone that has been watching The Real Housewives of New Jersey is like shaking their head at this moment. Teresa said that Jacqueline told her that Joe Gorga was hanging out with Joe Giudice's former business partner who ended up ratting out Joe Giudice. So Teresa believes that they're responsible for her and Joe going to jail. It's just a blame game. No, at the end of the day, nobody is responsible for them going to jail besides, you know, Joe Giudice, because committed the crimes. But even Andy is like, you standing for Jacqueline Loretta, roll the tape. We get years of footage about how Teresa hated Jacqueline Loretta. And I just think, Teresa wants to believe any piece of information that she's given that is negative about Joe and Melissa. So if Jacqueline Loretta is going to come up to her and say, I heard that Joe and Melissa turned you into the feds, she's going to believe it. She's not going to ask another question. She's going to be like, oh, yes, you're right. I had a feeling, So Joe, they also get into this argument about why Melissa came on the show and putting food on the table. It's like, can you believe that we're still having these conversations 10 years later? So they say, Andy reads the question. It's like, Joe Giudice did need someone to film with you while you were away. So technically by Joe and Melissa signing on, they did help your family make money. And Teresa's like, nope, they made money too. Do I think that Joe and Melissa signed on the show as a favor? I mean, they didn't only do it out of the kindness of their hearts. Like, they wanted to be on TV too. Let's not get it twisted. But I don't understand why that's a big deal. And maybe I'm missing some sort of information, but it's like, why is it such a big deal that Melissa and Joe are on the show? I don't understand. I really don't. So then we get Gia. I'm calling my daughter right now. How is that any better? I'm calling my daughter. Gia, the question was whether you told your uncle that he can do better than Melissa. She said no. And this whole debacle is what gets Teresa to storm out of the reunion and don't come following me. I think that was the best one I did of the day. Let me try again. And don't come following me. Okay, yeah. I'm going to leave it at that. I was proud of myself for that one. Okay. So then they have this like behind the scenes conversation. And she's like, Louis actually is the one that drops the bomb. He's like, she said, if I did say that, it was along the lines of, you could do better in this moment for my sister. So it's like, was a comment like that made? I think it was. And I think depending on who you ask, they have different interpretations of what was said. So I don't know, dude. It's like so crazy. And then we get into the end of it, where the whole entire time, the other cast members are accusing Louis of hiring private investigators to look into all of them, which, I mean, Louis has said it. He said, I got a folder on all of you. And it's just like, what a sad moment. And Louis literally looks insane. He's scary. They say, we're never going to see each other again after this. Joe Gorga's like, Teresa, you're my sister. If anything ever happens, like, I will be there. And she's like, no, you need to honor me right now. But it's like, you have the Melissa factor with Teresa, which I feel like also, no matter what Melissa does, Teresa's never going to like her. I feel like now whatever Louis does, Melissa and Joe are not going to like him. So it's just, what do you do? What do you do in that situation? And this is the moment. This is the moment where John Fuda, in my opinion, became the number one guy in this group. First season, clocked in. Louis goes over after all that crap he just said. Your day's coming. You better watch out. You sure about that? After all of that, he goes over and shakes their hands. It's bipolar behavior. It's manipulative behavior. And John Fuda is like the only one not falling for the BS. He's like, if you want to be my friend, you will admit to it because I know you did it. Apologize like a man. You found her in jail. You brought her out. If you're going to apologize, own it. And he's like, I can't do that because I didn't do it. We know you did, dude. We know you did. And even that moment alone, I'm like, if I'm Teresa, and that moment alone between John and Louis is the only thing that I see, like, doesn't that even set off alarm bells to you? I don't know, man. I think no matter where you fall, because I know there are Team Teresa stans and there are Team Melissa stans. And I honestly This is so annoying. You guys are going to roll your eyes, but like I'm somewhere in the middle. Like I truly believe that they both made mistakes, that they have both done stuff to piss the other person off. They both have stuff that they need to be accountable for. But I think we can all agree that no one is Team Louis. Who's Team Louis? I said it on my Instagram yesterday. If you're Team Louis, you need to reveal yourself so I can excommunicate you from the fam because he's scary. And it's like, where do you go from there? Because at that point, if you're Andy, if you're an exec at Bravo, do you feel like that crosses the line, private investigators and snooping? It's like, this is not Housewives, but at the same time, it's like, whatever gets people to watch. I genuinely believe that their mentality at Bravo is whatever gets people to watch our show, we will do it, So, final thoughts. Let's move on to the Real Housewives of Orange County. I know there was a new episode this week, but we're just going to talk about the season premiere because it's the return of Tamra Judge. If you want a play-by-play of the season premiere, I did do a full episode recap on Extra Pop this week. You can subscribe. The link is in the show notes below. But other than that, we're just going to kind of stick to the bullet points of the season premiere of OC. I have been looking forward to Orange County, and I'll be the first to admit to you that I was one of those people who wanted Tamra gone and then immediately felt her absence. I was like, oh gosh, she's so much and I can't take it and she drives me insane. And then as soon as she was gone, I was like, where's Tamra? We need her back. I just feel like she's a professional housewife. She was built for this. And even though her, ride on the chopper in was like totally cringe, I was happy to see her. So there are some mini feuds going on in the group with Gina and Heather, Emily and Tamra. But the big one is Tamra and Shannon, dos of the Tres Amigas who had a falling out after Tamra wasn't asked back. Now, look, I'm chronically online. I keep my finger on the pulse of Housewives and pop culture. And I didn't really know why they had this falling out. It's not entirely clear. I mean, it kind of seemed like their friendship maybe revolved around being on the show together. And once Tamra was off the show, it kind of fell to the wayside. Tamra claims that Shannon ghosted her. Shannon claims that she didn't. I mean, honestly, I'm excited for this alone this year with Orange County because it has been struggling. I mean, I didn't even watch it last year. I made it halfway through and I was just like, snooze fest. Honestly, it was a snooze fest. You can't deny it. But the people that have been invested in Orange County for a long time want to know what's going on between Tamra and Shannon. Can they work it out together? The last 5 minutes of the episode was some of the best producing and editing I have ever seen. To see Gina and Emily and Tamra standing over there by the snacks, eating their little cheese and biscuits, talking about how they need to have a housewives powwow with Shannon. And then Shannon just pops up like a groundhog behind him and is like, me? And the look of pure shock and honestly, like fear on Tamara's face, it was amazing. They agree that even in this little powwow, they need to go have a lunchtime powwow because it's not an episode of The Real Housewives if you're not arguing over a Caesar salad, and a side of fries and maybe a Cosmopolitan or something of the sort. So the last couple of seconds we get this tease, and I know we would have saw the powwow by now, but I need to get on the screener list. Who can get me on the screener list? If you have a Bravo connection, let me know. But it's like they're sitting down at the lunchtime table outside. They're taking their sunglasses off, and all the while there's the voiceover playing, and it's like, I needed you to be my friend. I showed up for you. No, you didn't. I think you're a crappy friend. It's just like peak Housewives material, and I can't wait for it. I'm excited for this season of Orange County. I thought the premiere was great. And that's all I have for you. Okay, so if you love the show, if you love me like a sis, leave a little 5-star review. Love to hear from you, unless you leave me a 1-star, which I've been getting more of lately. I feel like it's because I bring attention to it. But also, can I just say something? People, the whole bias thing, it drives me crazy, especially because it's like, it's my podcast. It's my opinion. I'm not hosting a presidential debate. What do you want from me, people? Okay. So just don't leave me a 1-star. Come check us out on Patreon. Subscribe if you want to be in the secret society. All the cool kids are doing it. The link is in the description below. Pop a batch, extra pop, whatever you prefer. See you back here next week. And as always, love you like a sis.